I'm John Cunningham, and welcome to another episode of Small Stocks, Big Money. For those of you new to the show, RedChip Companies is an investor relations, media, and research firm focused on emerging growth companies. Our unique platform combines global multimedia with traditional investor relations, reaching investors around the world. Today's show features interviews with executives of two companies. First up is bioAffinity Technologies, stock symbol BIAF on the NASDAQ. bioAffinity is an emerging player in early-stage cancer diagnosis and treatment. Its flagship product, CyPath Lung, accurately diagnoses lung cancers with high sensitivity and specificity, leading to increased survival and reduced medical costs. We'll learn more about the commercialization of this game-changing product when we speak with the founder and CEO later in the show. Next up is BioV, stock symbol BIVI on the NASDAQ. BioV is a clinical stage company developing what it believes will be transformative therapies to overcome unmet medical needs in neurodegeneration and liver disease with late-stage programs in Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and refractory ascites. We'll learn more when we speak with the president and CEO later in the show. Now, before we get to our first interview, our quote of the week. It comes from the book Small Stocks, Big Money. The risk always lies within management, so we're constantly evaluating through our three-part process. We meet with 3 to 5 CEOs and CFOs of small companies in our offices every week. These quotes come from Byron Roth, CEO of Roth Capital, featured in Chapter 7 of Small Stocks, Big Money. This is a book of exclusive interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon today for just $18. Quick question. Are you interested in gaining a deeper understanding of the companies featured on Small Stocks, Big Money? If so, be sure to join us for our exclusive investor webinars. This is your opportunity to gain an in-depth look at our featured companies and where you can speak directly to management, giving you tremendous insights straight from the source. Visit redchip.com/events for a full calendar of upcoming webinars and register today to secure your spot at the next event. Now let's get started with our first interview today with bioAffinity.
Hi, today we have Maria Zane, CEO, President, and Director of bioAffinity Technologies, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker BIAF. Maria, thanks for coming all the way to Orlando to be with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Maria, bioAffinity is focused on addressing the urgent need for non-invasive early-stage cancer diagnosis and diagnosis of other lung diseases, such as COPD. Let's start with a brief overview of your operations.
Certainly. So, first of all, thank you very much for having me. bioAffinity Technologies is a early-stage company, but it has a commercial test for the early detection of lung cancer. Lung cancer is the leading cancer killer nationwide and, in fact, worldwide. One of the reasons that it is such a deadly cancer is because it's most often found in late stage. What we have is a test called CyPath Lung, and CyPath Lung is a non-invasive test to improve detection at very early stage. Our test, CyPath Lung, has been found in a clinical trial to have very high sensitivity, meaning very high ability to find cancer, but also very high specificity, meaning it also can determine that someone does not have cancer. And this is particularly important and particularly focused on people who are at high risk, so heavy smokers, and those who have small lung nodules. So ours is a test we believe can really make a huge difference in the diagnosis of our leading cancer killer.
Now, just how big is the market? It's a huge problem, of course.
Well, the estimates are that the lung cancer diagnostic market is about $2 billion in the U.S. I think that it is also important to remember that ours is a platform technology. And as a platform technology, what I mean is it's not only a technology that can help to diagnose lung cancer, but it also will be used and advanced as a test for helping to improve the diagnosis of COPD, of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And that's also a $2 billion market. We've also begun 2 small research studies with the Department of Defense through the Brooke Army Medical Center and Dr. Michael Morris. Those are looking at how we can use CyPath Lung even at earlier in the pathway, meaning before lung cancer screening. But they're also looking at the use of this technology for COPD. And we plan to, we're encouraged by the interest of the Department of Defense in our technology. And that's something from a market perspective that can be very important.
Maria, you've begun a test market pilot program for CyPath Lung in Texas. What can you tell us about this program and how it fits in with the commercialization of CyPath Lung?
Well, first, it's important to understand that CyPath Lung is commercial. It has been validated and it is offered by a CAP/CLIA, by a commercial laboratory in Texas called Precision Pathology Laboratory Services. As a laboratory-developed test, it must be sold by the laboratory that has developed it. And so in doing so, we actually acquired that laboratory that gives us both the reach, resources, and indeed the revenues. We want to start in our own backyard. We want to make sure that what we have with our branding, with our outreach to physicians, with our market research is spot on. And I think that we've done that recently. And so what we are beginning now to do is to commercialize in Texas, and then after we complete that program, we'll look at a nationwide launch.
Maria, you and I were talking earlier about one of the reasons why lung cancer is so deadly is that it is too often found too late in the development. Why is early detection of lung cancer so important?
Well, let me give you a simple statistic to give you an idea of how important it is. Lung cancer, as you said, is most often found in late stage. And so the 5-year survival rate right now, overall, for if you are detected with lung cancer, is only 23%. But studies show that if we can find lung cancer in its first stage, in stage 1, and we treat it, that survival rate jumps to a 10-year survival rate of greater than 90%. That's the difference of what happens when you find lung cancer early. When there was a clinical trial that was done that brought us lung cancer screening for people who are at high risk, it's a very important trial. It was 53,000 patients, and in this trial they found that using low-dose CT for early detection of lung cancer, for screening of lung cancer, can lower the death rate by 20% because it can find it early. The issue with lung cancer screening is one that it finds lung cancer, but it also can call a number of things lung cancer or can be suspicious of lung cancer that are not, such that for every 100 people who get a positive or suspicious reading, only 4 out of 100 actually have the disease. That's where CyPath Lung comes in. CyPath Lung has been shown to have very high accuracy, high specificity, high sensitivity, meaning it can find that you do have cancer or you don't have cancer very well, particularly with people with small nodules. So nodules that are less than 20 millimeters, we have sensitivity of 92%, and we have a specificity, meaning we can determine you don't have cancer, 87% specificity. That's important, and that allows a physician and his or her patient to move forward with confidence whether or not it's an invasive procedure or it's a let's have a screen in a year from now.
So it sounds to me as though CyPath Lung is, on the one hand, more fine-tuned look at what's actually going on in the patient's lung. And let's elaborate a tiny bit more, if we can, on the non-invasiveness of it. I have heard, I think you were telling me, that a biopsy can be very difficult for an older person.
It's very important, should your physician tell you that you're at high risk and he or she wants to move forward, to listen to your physician's advice. And indeed, if a biopsy is requested or recommended, they should move forward with it. What CyPath Lung allows, though, is because you collect your sputum at home, so you're given a small cup, small box, you have a patient coach who calls you, who helps you to collect if that's necessary. And we get very, very good samples this way. But you're at home, and that's where you collect your sample. Then the kit itself has a pre-addressed, prepaid FedEx envelope. You put the sample in, and it goes to the lab. The lab then processes that sample, and within 3 days, your physician has a report which tells him or her whether or not there's malignancy, it looks like there's a malignancy present, or that it's at low risk. So the important thing here is CyPath Lung is additive to what the physician has in his or her toolbox for diagnosis. Right now, there isn't enough, we don't think. And physicians, when we speak to them, need more. And that's what this test provides. In other words, many people will have a nodule. They will get a low-dose CT, or they will get some type of imaging, and they will see that there's something, we used to call it a spot on the lung. And sometimes it is large enough, or there's other characteristics that a physician knows what to do. But often it is what's called an indeterminate pulmonary nodule. And so the next steps are not as clear. And that's where CyPath Lung can come in and can really help. And in a non-invasive means, which means a lot to a patient. CyPath Lung is a test that looks at the lung microenvironment. In other words, it looks at how the lung is changing and has changed because cancer is present, a malignancy is present in the lung. It does this by looking at cell populations, at whole cell populations. And using an AI-driven automated analysis, we're able to very quickly, after a sample is processed, determine whether somebody is at very high risk and therefore should move forward with more invasive or aggressive procedures, or the individual is at very low risk and therefore he or she can go and wait to the next time they need to have screening.
Maria, turning now to revenue, I know it's a big thing with investors. Given the recent acquisition of Precision Pathology Laboratory Services and its immediate contribution to bioAffinity's revenue stream, could you elaborate on how this strategic move aligns with the company's long-term vision for enhancing its diagnostic capabilities, especially, of course, in relation to the rollout of the CyPath Lung test?
So, Precision Pathology Laboratory Services is an excellent partner, has been for the last 4 years in the development of CyPath Lung. Ours is a laboratory-developed test, and indeed, Precision Pathology Laboratory was the laboratory that developed it with our help. Now, as we've acquired it, and it is now a subsidiary of us, of bioAffinity Technologies, we have the resources, we have the revenue, and we really have the reach to take CyPath Lung on a national scale. We're starting, of course, in Texas. We're starting because of our commercialization efforts to understand how CyPath Lung is accepted, adopted, and used by physicians in Texas. But precision pathology allows for a national sale of CyPath Lung. So we're very excited. We're forecasting revenues from Precision of about $9 million. And that's based on historical revenues and their historical operations. So we're very pleased to have that part of Precision. But equally important are the individuals that come and the laboratory personnel and the professionals that come with Precision. So we're very pleased to have them as part of the bioAffinity team. And of course, with that comes Dr. Roby Joyce, who is also now a board member of bioAffinity Technologies. Dr. Joyce founded Precision. He remains as the medical director and also the laboratory director. So that is important in keeping continuity as we move forward and keeping the customers who are very, very pleased with precision.
Tell us about some of the other key players on your team.
Yes, thank you. So we're very, very pleased at the people who we've been able to attract to bioAffinity. And if you talk to them, they will tell you that one of the reasons they came is certainly the management and the board of directors, but also it's the science, it's the test itself, and it's the innovation that we've brought. Ours is a science-driven company, and our chief science and medical officer is Dr. Vivian Rebel. Dr. Rebel is an MD, PhD, who spent 11 years at Harvard's Dana-Farber, where she taught, and she also had worked with the Livingston laboratory there, and then came to UT, where she had her own laboratory before joining us here at bioAffinity Technologies. So she has been the architect, really, of this technology. We're also pleased to have Mike Doherty, who has joined us in May. Mike is our Chief Financial Officer. He came to us from Amazon, where he was the CFO of the Alexa division. He has a strong background in financials and certainly an understanding of AI, which is a very important part of our technology. Our board of directors is stellar, quite frankly, and very much involved. Most important, our executive director, Steve Girgenti, was the founder and developed one of the largest medical marketing companies in the world, which was called Health World, and now I think is Ogilvy Health World. He brings to us excellent expertise and very much involved as we roll out CyPath Lung. We're also very pleased to most recently welcome Dallas Coleman, who comes to us from Olympus. He indeed was the executive account manager for the respiratory portfolio of Olympus America's Therapeutic Solution Division. It's important because Dallas comes with a wealth of connections and a very stellar history in sales. So we're pleased to have him as our national sales director.
Why should investors take an interest in bioAffinity Technologies right now?
BioAffinity Technologies is addressing a critical need for early detection of lung cancer. Lung cancer is the leading cancer killer both in the US and around the world. And our technology can help to improve diagnosis at early stage, where it can make a difference, where it can mean the difference between a 5-year survival rate of 23% or a 10-year survival rate of greater than 90%. We need to catch lung cancer at early stage, and our technology can make that difference. In addition to which, ours is a technology that has a large addressable market. We're looking at a $2 billion market for lung cancer diagnosis. And remember, ours is a platform technology. So our next test we look to develop in COPD equally has a $2 billion market. So with this large addressable market and meeting a very, very important need, health need, we think we have a winner. We also have a clear path to revenue growth. We understand now the market, and we are building step by step to a national market and then to an international market for CyPath Lung. That's important. Furthermore, we are doing that with some exceptional people, both in our management and on our board of directors. And finally, I'd like to point out again that we're not stopping with lung cancer, although indeed it's an extremely important test. We're looking at other lung diseases like COPD, like asthma, and we're going to build those with collaboration. Right now, we have a collaboration with the Department of Defense on 2 small trials that we're doing for COPD and for CyPath Lung, and we hope to continue and grow with them.
Maria, this is truly a fascinating story that is going to hit home to a lot of people. Thank you for coming to Orlando today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Now, to get more information on bioAffinity, visit BIAFinfo.com. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at RedChip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like bioAffinity. In addition to our newsletter, you can also order your copy of Small Stocks, Big Money. This is a book written by RedChip CEO, featuring interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Order your copy at Amazon.com today for just $18. Now let's move on to our next interview today with BioVie.
Hello there. Today we have Kong Do, President and CEO of BioV, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol BIVI. Kong, thanks once again for being with us.
Craig, thank you so much for having me back. It's great to be here.
We love having you. Can you begin, Kong, by discussing the recent phase 3 data from your Alzheimer's trial? What were the key findings and what do they mean for the future development of your lead candidate, NE3107?
Yes, Craig, we recently unveiled top-line data from our phase 3 trial, and we actually were very encouraged by the results. So it shows that we have a very biologically active molecule that appears to be having an effect on the cognitive, functional, and biomarker endpoints that we looked at in the trial. So to start off, our primary endpoint is something called CDR-SB, right, which is a measure of cognitive and function. And we showed that after 6 months of treatment, patients treated with 3107 had a 68% slowing of cognitive decline compared to those who were treated on placebo. Now, to kind of give you a reference point, the FDA-approved drug Leqembi showed that it slowed cognitive decline by 27% after being treated for 18 months. Right, so admittedly, this is not an apples-to-apples comparison, but it gives us great comfort to believe that we have a very effective drug, not only because we saw this impact on CDR-SB, but we saw it on all of the other functional and cognitive assessments we measured as well as it showed impact on the biomarkers that we would want to see. It reduced inflammation, there was an impact on p-tau, on amyloid beta, and importantly, it showed a reduction of DNA methylation, right, such that those that were treated had an age deceleration advantage of over 4.5 years compared to those that were on placebo. So terrific results. We also, unfortunately, had a bit of a setback in this trial. Due to suspected misconduct at 15 of our clinical sites, we ended up having to exclude a good number of patients because we were not comfortable with the data that came out of these sites. So as a result of that, we referred these sites on to the FDA for their investigation. But in the meantime, we missed statistical significance in our trial. So we now have to continue enrolling some additional patients to bring the trial to statistical significance, which is a shame for the company, for the community, Alzheimer's community, but it shows an efficacy signal that we are very encouraged with.
How big is the market opportunity for NE3107, Kong?
We believe the market opportunity is quite large. Time will tell, of course, but given that there are 6 million Americans that's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and if we reach a modest 15% penetration and price NE3107 comparable to what the competitors have priced their products at, this could become a $30 billion product in the United States alone.
Kong, what is the essential value proposition? Why should investors take an interest in BioV right now?
I believe BioVie has one of the most exciting portfolios in biotech today. In NE3107, we believe we may have what could become the first truly effective drug for Alzheimer's when it's developed.
Now to get more information on BioV, visit BIVIinfo.com. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at RedChip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like BioV. In addition to our newsletter, you can also order your copy of Small Stocks, Big Money. This is a book written by RedChip CEO, featuring interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Order your copy at Amazon.com today for just $18. Now let's recap the companies you met today. First, you met bioAffinity, stock symbol BIAF on the NASDAQ. With commercialization underway for its innovative CyPath lung test, bioAffinity is poised for accelerating growth in the quarters ahead. Learn more at BIAFinfo.com. Then you met BioV, stock symbol BIVI on the NASDAQ. BioV recently reported positive data from its Alzheimer's phase 3 trial showing patients treated with NE3107 had improved performance compared to placebo on all cognitive and functional assessments commonly used. BioV plans to continue enrollment for its phase 3 Alzheimer's trial, and they are expected to report interim data readouts from its planned phase 3 study in Parkinson's in coming months. This trial could ultimately lead to FDA approval as early as 2024. Learn more at BIVIinfo.com. Again, if you have any questions about any of the companies featured on today's show, call us at 1-800-RedChip or email us at info@redchip.com. In closing, remember, while small caps can provide significant gains, you must be prepared for the downside. Small cap stocks are among the most volatile asset class. Some of the companies featured on this show are RedChip client companies, and we may own stock in these companies. So please always read our disclosures at redchip.com. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next week with some new exciting emerging growth companies.